Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this postmortem of my Blitz game number 662. I had the white pieces and played e4. My opponent surprised me with the center counter defense, d5. It's a defense I play myself, although the way I play it, after e takes d5, I usually play the second choice move here, knight f6, rounding up the pawn with the knight. But queen takes d5 is actually the main line and a very respectable way to play. And I actually immediately make a bit of a mistake here on move 3. I played d4, and that's really not the best way to play. Just to show you what how black can equalize after this. It's really the move e5 here that let's see, instead of that, yeah. Oh well, knight c6 first, then e5. I guess that's the best way to play it. I was looking at that. There's, yeah, knight c6, or I think e5 could even be played right away, but knight c6 sets it up a little bit, and knight f3 defending the pawn, which is under attack, and then e5. And black just pretty much equalizes in this line. So so that early d5 is a bit of a mistake. I mean, it's not horrible. It's not like it's losing or something. I think maybe white even has some slight edge, but it's not the best move here. The right way to play this is to play knight f3, and there's this neat trick, and it's probably the reason why I keep playing d5 is I forget about this trick. You play knight c3, and it comes out to pin, and then you play bishop e2, unpinning, and knight c6, and now you can play d4. And at first you might think, isn't black winning a pawn here? But here's the trick. So, I mean, you have two defenders and he has two attackers, right? So black can trade off that knight and grab the pawn. But it doesn't work, because after this exchange, if the queen takes the pawn, you have bishop takes knight with a check, and you win the queen. So you keep that little trick in mind, and then the actual correct way to play this for both sides. Let's see, you go knight f3, he goes bishop g4 pinning, you unpin, he goes knight c6, and now it is safe to play d4, and he should play something like castles to get away from those little tricks. And now you have time for bishop to e3 to defend that pawn, and you're okay. This is a position where actually white keeps a pretty good edge. e5 here can be answered by knight to c3, kicking the queen and defending your queen, so it won't matter if this file gets opened up, and the line continues from there. I just wanted to point out that early d4 that I played is a mistake, and also to know about that trick with the knight on f3. That can come up. Anyway, my opponent makes this a mistake right after this, so I keep the usual kind of opening advantage you get against the center counter with e6. So I have a good game here. I go knight f3, he goes knight f6, I go c4, kicking the queen. That's why this is a good position for white. You get all these tempos on the queen, and the best move here for the queen is just to drop back to d8. And like I said, white has a typical kind of opening advantage against the Scandinavian, but not it's not insurmountable. It's the Scandinavian defense is not quite as solid as some other defenses, so white gets a slightly bigger than normal opening edge compared to other openings, but it's still playable for black and interesting. Anyway, queen e4 check is what he played, and this is just not a good idea. His queen is just going to get chased around some more, and the checks are actually helping me to develop. I get to develop my bishop. Let's see, I get to develop the knight with a tempo, and then I just castle. And so I've got maybe even a winning edge at this point. It's over, in the engine estimation, it's over 1 point. So, a good player could probably just go on to a win from this point with sheer technique. So definitely black has gone astray. Anyway, he tries bishop to b4 here. I go queen b3, and he castles. Castles is a mistake, and well, we'll come back to it. I just wanted to point out in this position there's a tactic. So why don't you pause the video? Well, it's white's turn to move. See if you can find the tactic for white, and pause the video if you want some time to think about it. Okay, I'm going to give the answer away now. The answer is d5, and it's a pretty simple tactic. You're attacking this. You're attacking his knight, which is defending the bishop, and if he takes, you take, and he takes. You just win a piece this way, and so I think d5 actually is winning. I'm just looking at this now, and I'm wondering if he could get away with something like this, trying to take here. You could take the knight, and the bishop is still hanging. And the bishop could retreat now, and you could grab another pawn over here. Yeah, I guess that's the point. When you grab this other pawn here, you're also forking the bishop and the rook. Let's see, what could he do? He could try this. You get a queen. If he takes your queen, you take here with check. How does this work out? Let's go through this. Say he grabs here, you take here with check. He takes, you take back. Okay, it's complicated, but let's see. You got 2 rooks for the queen. Yeah, you still stay a piece up, basically, if you count 2 rooks being equal to the queen. So, so that is the tactic there. d5. I missed that. Of course, I wouldn't have calculated the whole line, but d5 seems like a good idea anyway. I mean, in a slow game, I might have calculated that out. That's within my capability. But anyway, I played a3 here. He just traded off. I mean, this keeps some kind of edge here. I've still got that +1 edge, but that would have been winning a whole piece. Let's see, played h6 here. Went b4, expanding. On the queen side, he goes rook to d8, looking at my pawn. Just developed my last piece, and I'm looking at his king side here, maybe trying to set up a battery at some point. Or threaten g7. I do have a battery already set up. Let's see, he goes knight to e4, harassing my queen. I come over here to e3, and I plays knight back to d6. So he had this idea of maneuvering the knight around. He's threatening the c-pawn, but it's defended. I mean, there would be a nice fork there if he could get his knight to c4. Let's see, I went bishop d3, hitting his queen. And now he played queen to f6, which is just a bad idea. The queen is just walking into this tactic. Right now this bishop is loose, so I can't push the pawn forward immediately, but you know, there's obviously this tactic where I'm going to threaten his queen and threaten the knight at the same time, a double attack, and he's just setting it up for me. So rather than queen f6, queen over to h5 would have been a better move, and he could have, I mean, white is still better with the bishop pair and more space, but he could play on. Anyway, he went queen f6, and I played rook a to b1 to set up that tactic I was referring to. But actually, it's better to set it up with this move, queen to d2. And actually, the chess engine gives the best move for black at this point is dropping that poor knight back to b8. So, you know, there's a pretty miserable position for black if he's playing that kind of move. Setting up his pieces for the next game, as Ben Feingold likes to say. Anyway, I tried to set up the tactic with rook a to b1. Not the most accurate way of doing it, because when I play the tactic, he has an interesting way of playing here, which he probably should have spent some time. I mean, I've spotted this over the board, so and talked about it during the video. He should have been able to find this too. He just retreated his queen to d8 and gave up a whole piece, and it's all downhill from there. But he can take this pawn and attack my queen, and my best play here is to take the rook off, and then take the queen off, and then he takes back. And so all he's lost is the exchange, and he even has a pawn for the exchange. I mean, I'm still threatening to take this pawn here, but he can take back. And let's see, yeah, I have 2 rooks and 2 pieces. He has 1 rook and 3 pieces. So I'm up the exchange, but he has a pawn for the exchange, and he's still behind in development. So I still have probably a pretty good winning chances. I'm probably still winning here, but anyway, that would be certainly better than what he played in the game. And, you know, if you're stuck in one of these situations where things are going against you, you owe it to yourself to, you know, search the position and look for those tricky lines, those counterattacking lines, rather than just giving up. So queen d8 just gives up the piece here. And let's see, took back with the pawn. And I go c5, just gaining a little more space and chasing this guy away. I was also thinking of bringing a rook over to the d file. Let's see, went knight to f5, hitting my queen. So queen up to e4, setting up another battery. Although this, it's not mate here. He went bishop e7, and I went g4, and he decided to resign. I mean, he could have played on. His position is no worse now than it was just a few minutes earlier, but I think he just decided to stop playing at this point. I guess it's pretty serious if the knight moves away. I can take here, and I can take on g7 as well as queen h7 and queen g7 because I have the dark squared bishop. But, well, it depends on where he puts the knight. Yeah, maybe that's the point. Maybe that's the point. If he moves the knight here, for example, then it is a mate. So possibly that's the line he was saying. So maybe he has to give up the knight there, and I'm winning another piece. Because where else can the knight go? Here, 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 here. Yeah, it gets taken in all those squares. So he's down another piece there. Okay, so he decided to resign there. Anyway, interesting game. Hope you guys like this. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and I will see you again soon. Bye.